A soft dragging sound, like someone was slowly sliding their shoe across the floor.
What the heck?
I held my breath, still bent over
Yo!
with the chairs on my second floor. As I walked past that same classroom again, my heart nearly stopped.
What?
The door was wide open.
Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
Balcony, and for a moment, I thought I saw a figure sitting there.
Wow!
Just a silhouette.
Wow!
But when I blinked, it was gone.
Wow, you're seeing things.
I told myself.
What is good, guys? My name is ReboundLeader. Welcome back with another video. For today, guys, before we start, I just wanted to say RIP to Charlie Kirk and, my condolences to the family, obviously. Crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff, bro. Attack on Christians, an attack on freedom of speech. Man was not even an evil person. You don't have to agree with everything he said, but for him to get shot like that, assassinated, because he had his views and his opinion. Yeah, GG's. This is just the beginning of the war that's gonna happen. I'm telling you. These liberals, these lefty lunatics, these democratic weirdos, I promise you, bro. Yeah, they're harboring foolery in their camp. Assassinating Trump, going to school, shooting a Christian school full of kids. Now this, yeah, bro. They're full of deranged lunatics. These trans activists, bro, get out of here. These trans people, bro, out here, having mental problems, and they take it out on civilians. Yeah, pray, like, that's all we can do. Pray and keep your family safe, because Lord have mercy. All right, Janitor horror stories by Mr. Nightmare. I didn't even know they had janitor horror stories. Obviously, if you're by yourself in the dark and you see blood like this on the freaking ground, then obviously something's up. You got me. Unless you are the one that's been involved. This man looks like he's been involved and he's trying to wipe away the evidence. Let's get right into this video.
I used to work as a custodian at a middle school for almost 5 years, and I was usually on the overnight shift. I would clock in around 10 at night and stay until right before the sun came up, when the buses started pulling in. At first, I actually liked the job. I didn't have to deal with the kids running down the hallways, teachers complaining about stuff, or anyone really. The quiet didn't bother me, and I liked being left alone to do my work. But as time went on, I started to notice how different the school felt at night compared to during the day. It wasn't just quiet, it felt dead. The building creaked and groaned like it was breathing, and when you're the only person in there, even the smallest sound will set you on edge. You'd hear a locker pop open on its own, or the pipes knocking in the walls, and your brain would make you think it was footsteps. I learned to ignore a lot of that, but one part of the school I never really got used to was the basement.
Oh!
The school was old, built in the 1950s.
Not the basement. Oh no. Why do you need to go to the basement? Why do you need to clean the basement? It's like trying to clean the attic every night. Get out of here, bro.
And the basement ran underneath half of it.
What the heck is
it wasn't
this?
Finished nicely like the
What
classrooms.
type of job?
It was a concrete maze of storage rooms and long, narrow halls with pipes and wires hanging overhead.
Oh, that's crazy.
Some of the rooms were full of old desks, some had boxes of outdated textbooks, others had broken furniture stacked up.
Why?
It always smelled damp and musty.
Throw them
there.
away.
The fluorescent lights buzzed and flickered when they even worked at all. A lot of the time, you had to bring a flashlight just to see where you were going. When I first started, one of the older custodians told me to avoid the basement unless I absolutely had to go down there.
So he told you he already told you the plot. He already told you and gave you a warning, and yet you still had to do it. What? That old custodian? Yeah, he knows what he's doing. Yep. He's telling you for a reason. He's seen something or she's seen something that you were not supposed to see.
He said it wasn't worth the trouble and joked that it was haunted.
Yep.
I laughed along.
Are you sure it was a joke?
In that first week, I noticed how uneasy I felt in that part of the building.
Don't go down.
It was like stepping into a different world compared to the bright hallways upstairs. There were nights when I would pass the door to the basement and feel a chill just from looking at it.
Crazy.
But usually I didn't have to go down there.
Thank God.
So I avoided it whenever possible. One night, about 2 years into the job, I had a list of tasks taped to my cart, and one of them was to bring up a set of folding chairs for an event. I groaned as soon as I saw it,
Oh,
because
boy.
the only place those chairs were kept was the basement.
Uh-oh.
I remember standing at the top of the basement stairwell door for a good minute, just debating if I could ask my supervisor if it could wait till morning.
Yeah, I would wait till morning. I'm not doing it. Like, that will be my very last objective, my very last task of the day or of that shift. The heck? What?
But I didn't want to look
I ain't
lazy,
doing that.
so I
What
grabbed
the
my
heck is wrong with
flashlight and
you?
opened the heavy door. The stairwell echoed with every step I took.
Oh my
like
goodness.
My boots were way too loud.
Lord have mercy.
I got to the bottom and flipped the switch, but only a couple of the overhead lights came on. They left most of the hallway in darkness. I swear it smelled like wet cement down there. I turned on my flashlight and started walking. The chairs were supposed to be in the second storage room on the left. The first room was full of old desks piled all the way to the ceiling. The second door was half rusted, and it squealed like nails on a chalkboard when I pulled it open.
Heck no.
Inside, the room smelled like dust and wood polish.
Lord have mercy.
The folding chairs were stacked against the wall in uneven piles. I bent down and started pulling them out, trying to carry as many as I could at once so I wouldn't have to make so many trips. I had just picked up 4 when I froze. From somewhere out in the hallway, I heard a soft dragging sound, like someone was slowly sliding their shoe across the floor.
What the heck?
I held my breath, still bent over
Yo!
with the chairs in my arms, listening as hard as I could.
You didn't even bring your Bible, bro. You didn't even bring your Bible to your own shift. You didn't bring the Bible to your shift tonight. You didn't even bring it downstairs to the basement. That's crazy. Bro, I would have been listening to some Bible, some gospel music as I'm going downstairs, going to the basement. What the heck? Nah. Nope.
Sound stopped. I straightened up and peeked my head out into the hallway, shining the flashlight both ways. The beam cut through the dark, but there was nothing there.
Crazy.
My heart was thumping in my ears. I stood there for what felt like forever before finally telling myself it was probably just the pipes.
Nope.
Maybe I had shifted a chair without realizing it.
Nope.
I carried the first load out into the hallway and toward the stairs. As I walked, I suddenly felt a cold draft against my face.
Uh-oh.
It was so out of place that it made me stop mid-step. The basement was always warm and stale, with no windows and no moving air. This felt like standing next to an open freezer.
That's crazy.
I shined my light up and down the hallway, but nothing looked different.
That's crazy.
I shook it off, set the chairs at the bottom of the stairs, and went back for more.
No.
When I walked into the storage room again, something felt off. The stack of chairs looked different somehow, like they had shifted while I was gone.
What?
I frowned at them, trying to remember exactly how they'd been leaning, and picked up another load. This time, as I turned to leave, I heard it again, a thump followed by a scraping sound.
Heck no.
It came from farther down the basement hallway.
Heck no.
My flashlight beam shook in my hand as I aimed it that way. About 20 feet down, one of the classroom doors that should have been closed tight was cracked open. My stomach dropped. I knew I hadn't touched that door.
Woo! Okay.
The school was locked up every night, and
Say
no one was supposed to
GGs,
be
bro.
there except me.
Just run
I
upstairs.
stood frozen in the doorway of the storage room,
Run
staring
upstairs.
at that cracked door. Every part of me screamed to drop the chairs and run upstairs.
Yup.
But I just stood there.
Oh my gosh. This man was in shock. He didn't know what to do.
I told myself maybe the door had come loose.
Crazy.
Or maybe when I opened another door, the air pressure had shifted. I clung to those excuses like a lifeline. I carried the chairs quickly to the stairwell, then came back with my flashlight in one hand, empty-handed this time.
Bro, what the
The cracked
heck?
door was still
Why are
there.
you still doing
open
this?
Just enough for someone to peek out.
Oh my god.
My throat went dry. I crept toward it slowly, each step echoing.
Uh-oh.
When I was close, I
Uh-oh.
called out, "Hello, anyone down here?"
What the frick would you
My
say
voice
that?
cracked.
Why would you
It
say
sounded
that?
small in the big empty basement.
Bro, why would you say that? Why would you think the person is going to respond to you? And if it does, it's not gonna be pleasant. You should be saying, whoever is in that place, in that area, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. What? We don't play games like this. We don't make friends with the enemy. We rebuke them. What the heck are we doing?
No answer. I swallowed hard, then pushed the door open fast with my free hand
Crazy.
and shined the flashlight inside. The room was empty. Just shells of dusty science equipment, boxes stacked high, cobwebs in the corners. I stepped inside for a second, heart racing, listening for any sound. That's when I heard it again. a dragging shuffle.
Oh my gosh.
But this time it was behind me in the hallway.
Bro.
I spun around and pointed the flashlight, with the beam cutting down the corridor.
You cannot be serious
Nothing.
right now.
Just shadows and concrete.
Just
But
leave.
I felt it. That heavy pressure you get when you know you're being watched. My skin prickled all over. I didn't care about the chairs anymore. I backed up slowly, keeping the flashlight aimed down the hallway, and made my way toward the stairwell. When I got to the stairs, I grabbed the chairs I'd left and carried them up 2 steps at a time. I didn't stop until I was back in the main hallway upstairs, gasping for breath.
Oh man.
I leaned against the wall, sweating even though the school was cold. I told myself I was imagining things.
Yeah, not
Maybe
really.
it had been rats or water pipes, but I couldn't explain the cracked door. I locked the stairwell door behind me, even though I wasn't supposed to, and I didn't go back down for the rest of the night. A week later, I was mopping the hallway right above the basement stairs when I heard it again. 3 loud bangs, evenly spaced, like someone hitting the wall with their fist.
Crazy.
The mop slipped out of my hand, water dripping onto the tiles. I froze and listened. Then I heard the basement door rattle like someone had shoved it from the other side. My blood went cold. I didn't open it. I stood there, gripping the mop handle until the sound stopped.
Crazy.
After that, I refused to go down into the basement alone.
Thank God.
If anything needed to come up, I'd wait until another custodian was there. I never told the others what I heard, because I knew they'd either laugh or tell me it was the so-called ghost.
Nah.
But I know what I felt, and I know what I heard. To this day, when I think about those slow dragging footsteps behind me, I feel sick to my stomach.
Crazy, bro. Crazy, crazy. You risk your life for that job, bro. Just to, bro. Come on.
I worked as a custodian at a high school for 3 years. I was the newest guy on the team, so most of the time I got stuck with the overnight shifts. The building was huge, 4 floors and 2 gyms, and at night, when it was empty, it felt like a giant maze. The rule was to go floor by floor, room by room, turning off lights, emptying trash, and locking doors. It usually took the whole night to cover everything, and if you tried to rush, you'd miss something. One Friday night, I was working alone because one of the other custodians had called out sick. Normally, we worked in pairs, so I wasn't used to being the only one on duty. At first, the shift was normal. I started on the first floor, emptying trash cans, wiping down surfaces, and mopping the hallways. The lights in some of the old corridors flickered, which made the shadows jump around, but I told myself it was just the building settling. Around midnight, I made my way up to the 3rd floor. That floor always gave me a bad feeling because it was quieter than the others.
How is it quieter than the others? How is that floor quieter than the other floors? How is that possible? How does that make any sense? I don't know, bro.
A lot of older classrooms that weren't used anymore.
Oh, okay.
Some permanently locked, and others were just storage rooms filled with dusty books, broken furniture, and old lab equipment.
Bro, okay.
As I walked down the hallway, I passed the lockers. The metallic click of the doors and the echo of my boots against the tiles made me jump a few times. I kept reminding myself it was normal. I was halfway through mopping one of the main hallways when I noticed a door about 20 feet away was open. That struck me immediately because I had already checked all the rooms earlier in the evening.
What the heck?
Every door had been locked.
What in the
My
world?
first instinct was to walk past it quickly and ignore it,
Yep.
but something made me stop. I set my mop against the wall and walked over slowly,
Oh, no.
trying to make as little noise as possible.
Uh-uh.
The door was one of those old wooden classroom doors with a square glass window.
I would have just ignored.
I pushed it open slowly, shining my flashlight inside. The room looked empty. The desks were stacked along the walls and boxes were in the corners. Nothing seemed out of place at first glance, but then I noticed that one of the boxes near the back wall had been moved. It was tilted, not lined up with the others, and there were scuff marks on the floor, like it had been dragged across the tiles. My stomach sank.
The
I
heck?
knew I had closed that door earlier.
Are you
and
sure?
I knew I hadn't moved that box.
Are you sure?
I told myself it was probably nothing, just my imagination playing tricks on me because I was tired.
Maybe.
I pulled the door closed and went back to mopping.
Maybe not.
My mind kept wandering to that room.
What the heck?
I kept thinking I should check the windows. Maybe a student had snuck in somehow.
Really?
But all the windows were locked from the inside,
The
and the
heck?
hallway doors were locked as well. I tried to shake the feeling of being watched and focused on the cleaning. After finishing that hallway, I went down to the stairwell to head to the 2nd floor. As I walked past that same classroom again, my heart nearly stopped.
What?
The door was wide open.
Whoa! 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 Okay, this is when you stop everything you're doing. You get out of the building. You call the police and, hey, I think there's someone in here. I lock the door, I close it, it's open. I lock it, I close it again, it's open. This is when you call the police immediately.
Police! Police! Help! Police! Help! Police! Help! Help!
Breath caught in my throat. I knew I had shut it before. I slowly stepped closer. I peeked inside, and the room looked normal, except the box was now moved to the center of the floor.
Okay.
My pulse was racing.
Okay.
I whispered, "Hello?
Someone's
Who's in here?"
Someone's doing foolishness.
My voice sounded tiny in the
Someone's
emptiness
doing
of the building.
foolishness.
I waited, but there was silence. And then from the back of the room, I heard slow, deep breathing. Not a gust of wind or a pipe. It was someone trying to be quiet, but making sure I could hear it.
That's crazy. Yo, okay.
I tried to convince myself it was a student hiding,
No.
playing a prank.
No.
But how would they have gotten in?
No.
I was the only one who was supposed to be there.
Run.
And all the doors were locked.
Run.
I slammed the door shut and ran down the hallway to the stairwell. My heart was hammering, and sweat ran down my back. I stayed pressed against the stairwell door, listening. I debated calling my supervisor, even though I hated bothering him in the middle of the night.
Cops.
Finally, I did. When he picked up, I told him what was happening, trying to keep my voice steady. He said he would be there in 20 minutes. Those 20 minutes felt like hours. I stayed as far away from that room as possible,
Yeah.
peeking over my shoulder every few seconds.
Yeah.
Finally, he arrived. We went back up together. He had a big flashlight and walked straight into the classroom. The box was still in the middle of the floor. We checked everywhere, the closets, under the tables, behind the desks. There was nothing. He suggested I was just tired or imagining things.
No.
I didn't argue, but I knew what I had heard.
Come on.
That slow, heavy breathing.
Come on,
I
supervisor.
tried to finish the rest
Come
of my
on.
shift with him there, but I kept glancing at that classroom. The hallway felt colder and more oppressive than ever. Even sweeping and mopping didn't distract me.
Wow.
Every time I passed a locker, I expected it to swing open. Every shadow seemed like a person standing just out of view.
Crazy.
Weeks later, when I worked with another custodian, he told me that years ago, a student had been caught hiding in that classroom overnight. They had snuck in to play a prank, but it scared the staff so much that they never used that room again.
That's crazy.
It made sense, but it didn't explain the breathing I heard that night. There was no one else in the school. I finished the shift and left, but every time I thought about it, my stomach twisted. I started taking extra precautions. I made sure all the doors were locked as I passed. I kept my flashlight pointed at the floor and stayed near the stairwell if I had to pass that hallway. Months later, I had another overnight shift alone.
Oh no.
I avoided that third floor for as long as possible.
Thank God.
When I finally had to go up, I moved as quickly as I could. I kept thinking I'd hear it again. The feeling of being watched didn't go away. Even when I was in a room far from that classroom, I felt like eyes were on me.
Man.
Every creak of the floor made me jump.
Man.
I finished the shift and left quickly,
Man.
never looking back.
It's crazy.
I refused to work that floor alone again. Even years later, I avoided it whenever I could. I never found out if it had been a student hiding or something else.
Could have been,
And I'll never
honestly.
forget the sound of that breathing, coming from a classroom that should have been empty. I
Crazy.
can still hear it in my head sometimes.
Nuts, bro. Pray for these custodians, bro. Pray for the janitors and the custodians that have to deal with this foolishness every single night. Crazy, man.
I worked as a night custodian at an old high school for 2 years. The worst part of the job was always the auditorium. It was massive, with 3 levels of seating, a big stage, and long heavy curtains that hung from the ceiling. During the day, it looked normal, but at night, when the building was empty, it felt like stepping into a completely different place. Even with the lights on, there were shadows in every corner that seemed darker than they should be. Sound carried strangely in there. If you dropped a broom, the echo would stretch and bounce, making it hard to tell exactly where the sound came from. Most nights, I saved the auditorium for last because I hated going in there. There was just something about it that always made my skin crawl. Near the end of winter one year, I had to clean it earlier than usual because there was going to be a play the next morning. I arrived around midnight, dragging my cart behind me. The side door creaked loudly as I opened it, and when it slammed shut behind me, the echo traveled across the empty room. I started by sweeping the aisles between the seats. The chairs were old, metal folding seats bolted to the floor in some rows, and in other rows, they were loose. As I pushed the broom, I listened to the scraping sound echo off the walls and ceiling. After a few minutes, I thought I heard something else. It was faint at first, like a soft rustling from the stage. I froze, thinking maybe a prop had fallen over, but when I looked, the stage was empty. I shook my head and told myself it was nothing. I continued sweeping. A few minutes later, I heard it again. This time it was more distinct, the sound of slow footsteps across the stage. I stopped sweeping and looked toward the stage. I could see the stacked props in the corners. Nothing moved, but the sound was real. My breathing became shallow.
That's weird.
I slowly climbed the steps onto the stage, shining the flashlight behind the curtains. There were ropes, pulleys, old chairs, and painted scenery stacked against them.
Man. Well, like, I don't know why people like to investigate, bro. Why do you like to investigate? You have no weapon on you. You're a custodian. You are a janitor. Come on. Come on.
Walls. Everything was covered in dust, and the beam of my light made it dance like it was moving. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was nearby. I backed off the stage, telling myself it was just the building settling, maybe a mouse in the rafters, but the feeling didn't go away. I continued sweeping down the aisles, trying to finish as fast as possible. My mind kept going back to the stage. The sound of those slow footsteps repeated in my head, even though I couldn't hear them anymore.
Crazy.
I finished sweeping the lower level and started mopping. As I pushed the mop through the rows, I thought I saw a shadow move across the second tier of seats. I moved my flashlight toward the seats, but nothing was there. I tried to tell myself it was a trick of the light. I kept my back to the wall as I moved, feeling as if someone were behind me. I had nearly finished mopping the main floor when I heard it again. A whisper. I couldn't make out words, but it was low.
What the heck is this? Yo!
It was coming from the balcony seats above me.
Bro, these kids, they're pranking you. They're pulling pranks. They broke in somehow. What the heck?
My heart was now hammering.
This can't be real.
My flashlight's beam trembling in my hands.
This is crazy.
I wanted to run, but I didn't. I had to finish the job. I told myself it was someone outside, or maybe a janitor who had forgotten something. But I knew I was alone. I kept mopping slowly, my ears straining. The whispering continued, almost like it was moving closer.
That's crazy.
I tried calling
bro.
out, but I was so nervous
Bro,
that my
stop
voice
with this
sounded
whispering
weak.
nonsense, bro.
There was no answer.
Come on.
Only the echo of my voice. I finished mopping the main floor and started cleaning the stage itself. The steps up
bro.
felt endless, and every time I moved my flashlight, I thought I saw something just at the edge of the beam. Sometimes it was a flicker of a shadow.
Crazy.
Sometimes it was just my imagination.
Crazy.
When I reached the stage, I looked over the edge of the main floor. The seats stretched back in the darkness. I shined the flashlight into the balcony, and for a moment, I thought I saw a figure sitting there.
Wow!
Just a silhouette.
Wow!
But when I blinked, it was gone.
Wow, you're seeing things.
I told myself it was a chair or
the
a
enemy
coat,
is playing tricks
but the
on
feeling
you.
didn't leave me.
Crazy.
I started dusting and moving props, trying to focus on something physical. The whispering came again.
That's
much
nuts.
clearer this time. It sounded like someone speaking my name,
Oh
almost
my
directly
gosh.
behind me.
Oh my gosh.
I spun around so fast that the flashlight slipped in my hands. The stage was empty. Nothing. The props were still stacked in the same place, and the curtains didn't move. But I knew I hadn't imagined the voice.
Yeah.
I backed away slowly, with my heart racing, and I moved toward the side door. I stopped at the edge of the stage and listened. I could hear soft footsteps on the upper levels, moving slowly across the balcony.
Yep. These gotta be kids. These gotta be the kids just playing pranks on you or something. Like, what the heck is going on?
I told myself it was impossible. The auditorium was locked. No one else should have been there.
So what the
The
heck?
footsteps continued, stopping and starting as if someone were pacing and watching me. I finally ran to the door, grabbed the handle, and pulled it open. The cold night air hit me like a wall, and I felt relief, but I could still hear the faint echo of footsteps above, fading away slowly. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely lock the door behind me.
Wow.
I leaned against it, catching my breath, feeling the sweat running down my forehead. I didn't go back inside that night. The next morning, I tried to tell another custodian about what happened, and he laughed at me, saying it's an old building and probably just settles or something.
Bruh.
But I'm not convinced. That whispering voice and my name being called so softly and deliberately.
Wow.
And the footsteps pacing above me.
This is...
I felt them in the air around me.
This is crazy.
Weeks later, I learned that years ago, a drama teacher had died suddenly in that auditorium during rehearsal.
Ain't no
Heart
way.
attack right on stage in front of students.
Yo.
People said sometimes you could still hear him walking the stage at night, or hear whispers in the seats.
Nuts.
I try to convince myself it's just a story, that the sounds were normal for an old building.
Ain't no way.
But the way that voice whispered my name and the footsteps echoed, I could never forget it. Maybe I was going crazy, I don't know. After that night, I refused to clean the auditorium. I quit that job not long after.
Wow.
But sometimes, even when other people were in the building, I would feel the same cold pressure in the auditorium and feel that same way about being watched.
Yeah.
I know what I experienced was real, at least real to me.
Crazy.
I've never had any kind of schizophrenic episodes or anything like that, so this whole thing still just baffles me to this day.
Playing tricks on you. Playing tricks on you. This is what they're doing. They're playing tricks on you. This is crazy, bro. Like, night shift horror stories, you know what I'm saying? Walmart horror stories. Working the night shift at Walmart, and you're the only one in the freaking building, it seems. Now we have janitors. Janitor horror story. This is crazy, bro. I cannot imagine. Pray for these janitors. They're doing business. They're working hard for us, you feel me? They're working hard day in and day out. You feel me? So you gotta appreciate these janitors, honestly. Custodians as well. But yeah, man, God bless them. Pray for their safety, you know what I'm saying? Because it's crazy stuff out there. You know, you don't know who's in those buildings. Things should be locked, but for some reason, it's not always locked. All right, I'll catch you guys later. Take care. God bless. Stay safe. And yeah, peace.
You win. Perfect.